Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. Can we say that?
Yeah.
Everybody?
We need like music coming into the show.
It,
because the
maybe.
music cuts off and it's just like
It's
dead
so
air.
abrupt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It pops up on us and
Maybe
we're
that's
expected
something
to
for 2025.
entertain people right off the hop when there's like that.
Jazz hands.
Yeah.
I'm Sara Lefke. He's Jamie Thomas. This is the check-in. We are getting you ready for the final Winnipeg Jets game of 2024. They are in Denver tonight to take on the Colorado Avalanche, the second game. Back-to-back nights for them. A huge win last night, 3-0 win here at Canada Life Center.
An impressive win, and I think what that game showed yesterday is the patience that the Jets have, where they weren't forcing things, looking for offense. They just stayed within their game. It didn't feel like anyone was going to score for the longest time, and then for Dylan DeMello to get that goal, his first since last March or April, I believe. It was great. And talking to everybody after the game, what that did for the bench, like just to see a guy that doesn't score ordinarily, it does so much for the team. To get that goal was big. And Connor Hellebuyck had a huge smile on his face when asked about it. Scott Arniel was excited about for Dylan DeMello as well. And then of course the power play. That was the number one penalty kill the Jets went up against last night, and it looked like Nashville had kind of solved whatever Winnipeg was throwing at them
early on.
Sure. And before they had scored, it was quickly pointed out to us last night in the dressing room and with Scott Arniel is that they had generated opportunities. That's the thing. You people are like, oh, the power play is 0 for 3 so far, but they had got some great chances. Sometimes people forget UC Saros is a pretty good goalie.
Yeah.
And he had come off a terrible start. It was pulled for only the third time, I think, ever in the previous game against St. Louis. So he wanted to bounce back, and he was fantastic. But Gabriel Velarde, there's just like the second power play goal they scored is the third game of the game for the Jets. I love Kyle Connor hits him, and he just bounces off him. He taps into the open net. He's just so good net front that you can understand why now as the season rolls along about why the Jets power play has been so good, because Gabriel Velarde has been healthy. That's why, like a lot of people ask, what's the difference between this team this year and last year? It's just like Gabe Velarde has been healthy, knock on wood, the whole time.
Well, the power play as a whole is being productive too. Certainly what Davis Payne has instituted with it and the mindset of it. I think it's a lot quicker of a power play than what the movement that we see is a lot different than what we've seen in previous years as well. So the second meeting of the season tonight against Colorado, first one November 7th, 1-0 win. It was Gabriel Velarde that scored the only goal in that game. I hope that you are getting used to seeing, or you will get used to seeing the Colorado Avalanche, because out of their 4 meetings, they happen in short order for it. So tonight, obviously, and then they play again January 11th and January 22nd. So looking forward to this one here this evening, and looking forward to the show here over the next half hour. We are going to have Connor McGahey join us.
Yes.
Who calls the Avalanche games, talk a little bit of Colorado for us. And then also TSN's Mark Masters is going to join us. Yes, because when you think World Juniors, a lot of people think Gord Miller. I also think Mark Masters because he's covered so many of them and is always such a staple of it. A huge game for Canada tonight, Canada-US. The New Year's Eve Classic is what we are hoping and anticipating. So we'll ask him a couple questions about that as well.
And Matt Hyman, good point. Is going back to the power play. Matt, good point. The timeout the Jets used when the 5-on-3 came up, and one of the most obvious too many men on the ice penalty calls in the history of ever. So it was great timing for that one as well. And then of course the Jets scored in the 5-on-3 and then follow on the 5-on-4 afterwards. So just a you look at what Nashville's in the 7th place in the Central Division, but you still see how tough they play the Jets. And you're wondering, like, are they ever going to be able to recover from it? And Chris Mason pointed out they're playing better, but is it too late for them to pull themselves back into the race? Because Colorado's starting to play a lot better now, and Dow so is hanging around. St. Louis made the coaching change, so a big road ahead for the Nashville Predators, but they'll be here on January 7th. Speaking of getting all these games out of the way with Central Division opponents.
Yeah, and so you mentioned Colorado playing better right now. They are currently 3rd in the Central Division. I mean, the slow start that they had, but 4 points back now with Minnesota. The Avs 8-2 in their last 10 games, 4-1 in their last 5. You look obviously comparison to Winnipeg, also very strong over that stretch with a 7-2-1 record in their last 10 games. So should be a great one here tonight. You got to pick question of the day today.
Oh yeah. And it's obvious one. So the thing that we do most times on January 1st, we decide we're going to make big changes.
Oh, okay.
Big changes.
Okay.
So let's play along with us. What's your New Year's resolution for 2025?
Are you a big New Year's resolution?
I was for the longest time.
Were you really?
I would never
follow through with it.
Ever. I would probably make it to January 15th.
That's longer than most.
So
Yes.
I'll play the game. I got to stop eating M&Ms.
So I shouldn't have got you some for
No, I
Christmas?
crushed them already.
Okay.
So it's gone. And then I was at Save on Foods the other day, and they were like $2.22. I'm like,
How could you not?
I have to get it. And then those the red and green jelly beans.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Just
Christmas
red
ones?
and green.
They're delicious.
Okay.
Anyways,
Are they different?
they're
than
like
regular?
26 cents a pound or something. Like they're so cheap. So Esme, my daughter, and I got her a bag full of those, and we crushed those. So just basically, candy's got to go.
Glucose and fructose.
How about? Oh no! Wait! I got to stop the apple fritters. That's what it is.
Oh, yes.
Every time I put an apple fritter down on a napkin, I just see the grease coming off, and I realize I put that in my body every game day because it's a habit. So no apple fritters in 2025. There. So anybody else wants to play along? What's your?
I don't know, but if Jamie makes it to January 15th without having apple fritters,
Well,
remarkable.
so that's like a miracle.
It would be a miracle. It would be a miracle.
Because I walk by there every day. It's so hard. It's like staring at me. You need an
It's
apple
just calling
fritter.
you.
Yeah. And then you give me that judging look on your face. If Des saw me, what I bring in every day, whew, death. Death. She would just give me the most judging. The eyebrow raise would go up, and I go on there.
For it.
Yep.
Go on and on. That's for the next podcast. That's for the one about
Okay, James tweet. See,
what?
my New Year's resolution is
So
not
now
making a
make New Year's
resolution.
resolution.
Yeah.
Amen. I asked Kyle Connor yesterday if he was a New Year's resolution guy. He
Kenny's
said
water
no.
bottle, perfect. Drink more water.
I love it. So let's continue to hear what your resolutions are or are not for the upcoming year.
Ooh.
Oh
Hey,
dear.
my
There was
resolution is to become a better hockey player and a better captain for my team. So that's a legit. That's something
Yes.
that can happen.
That's great.
I believe in you. You can pull that off.
Yeah.
It's the other ones, like when we're the one I'm talking about. So
There's someone, if go farther down, I just saw something about an apple fritter as well.
okay, hold on.
So I feel like
Okay, see. Yeah.
that's a bit extreme. I used to actually, so Kevin Glenn, when he was quarterback of the Blue Bombers years ago, he and I had a thing. He loved apple fritters as well. So for years afterwards, every time we'd see each other,
Yeah.
like apple fritter, and that became our, I don't know.
So you ate apple fritters for a bit, or was just
Yeah.
I've never seen you eat on anything unhealthy.
Well, then we obviously do not spend enough time together.
Okay.
But anyways, let's go on. Let's go back.
Purpose,
Let's get back to the hockey talk and get away temporarily from the apple fritters for it. So mentioned there's so many things that we could talk about with last night's game. The power play, obviously, continuing to be productive. Kyle Connor, the job that he's doing. Really, when you look at it, even though I just think that over the last few games, very much it has been the big guys in one way or another that has really helped lead the way. And Scott Arneal, after the game last night, was asked a question really about getting things going from Sean Reynolds from Sportsnet.
Just when you see your star players doing those kind of hustle plays that, immediately turn things around, you can see the correlation between busting your butt to get that puck back and it turning into a goal. What does it mean to get that out of the very best players on your team?
Well, we've talked about the buy-in from everybody. It isn't just your checkers. It has to be everybody, and I saw it tonight. I saw all four lines, guys pouring back. We knew they had a good transition game. They had a good rush game. We knew that their defense were going to Shea and Yossi and their D were always going to be coming. There was a bunch of times. I think there was 3 examples in the second period where we tracked back and we picked it off before our blue line. That's all stuff that second effort. And we talk about defending. Defending isn't just in our end of the rink; it's in all 3 zones. And when we're on, we make it hard for other teams to to get their games going, and it can be frustrating for the opposition. And that's what we try to do.
You literally could see how frustrated Nashville was last night.
Yeah.
Because there were opportunities, but there weren't those grade A scoring opportunities. And I think the Jets, since they came out of the Christmas break, they were defending well going into it, but just have continued to play well in that aspect. And Gabe Velarde was asked about when you're frustrated, what do you do? And he goes, well, I hide it well because, as an offensive player, you want to create all the time. And when things don't go well, you get frustrated. So the fact he says, I must be doing a good job of hiding it because, I get frustrated, often when things don't go well.
An easy way to get frustrated is to go up against Connor Hellebuck,
Yeah.
who had his 5th shutout of the season. He is the first goaltender since 2015,
Mhm.
to have 9 shutouts in a calendar year. Or
He's got a bunch here, like past Jonathan. He has 9, as you said, 9 shutouts. Past Jonathan Quick, Tim Thomas for most regular season shutouts in a calendar year by a U.S.-born goaltender. He's the first goaltender in NHL history to record 3 winning streaks of 6+ games in a season before New Year's Day. So, we can
running away with the Vezina.
There's
really.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6
it's
points.
nonstop, and he's now at 299 wins. So we know how much from 300 wins is that milestone that he is looking forward to, and that could happen as early as later this week because he will not be in net tonight. It will be Eric Comrie that is expected to get the start, barring some sort of illness or something happening. And we talked about it yesterday.
Mhm.
These are the situations that you are put in when you are the backup netminder.
Mhm.
But this is not an easy scenario for Eric Comrie to go into, and he needs some run support.
Yeah. When was the last time Colorado played again?
They last played on Friday. So you were going into Denver. Where
you've not had a lot of fun.
No, and they are a well-rested team.
Yeah. So, and the Jets haven't been very good in the second half of back-to-backs, but, they rushed the airport last night after the game, flew out to Denver. So hopefully they're getting enough sleep for the big game today.
Yeah, there is no morning skate for the Jets, given the fact that they played last night. What we do know is that so there were some changes to the lineup yesterday, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with the lineup tonight and whether or not we see some more changes. Dominic Toninato was called up yesterday. He didn't play in last night's game. He is on the trip, so we'll see whether or not he draws in tonight and what the health situation is like. Unfortunate news. We heard that after the game, Scott Arniel saying that Mason Appleton, who was an unexpected, I think, for many of us, even though he hadn't practiced last couple of days, unexpected scratch yesterday, is out week to week. Right now. So that's a loss on that third line as well to not have it, but means a huge opportunity for others.
Yeah, Alex Iafallo filled in for Mason Appleton last night. Felt he did a very good job. The top line from Nashville didn't, again, I feel like we repeat ourselves, didn't get a whole lot of opportunities when matched up against the Lowry line. Of course, the Scheifele line went up against them as well because that line is playing so well. And you heard Scott Arniel talk about them tracking back and continuing to play both ends of the ice. That will allow what that does is take some of the pressure off the Lowry line. But as you said, Alex Iafallo is meant for this opportunity, so it's a good chance for him. Unfortunately for Mason Appleton being week to week after getting hurt, so hopefully speedy recovery for Mason Appleton. But again, the Jets' depth comes up and shines in situations like this, and where Alex Iafallo did a great job last night.
Yeah, in just a couple of minutes, as mentioned, we're going to have Mark Masters join us to also help set the scene for the Canada-US game that is taking place this evening, and then Connor McGahey joining us to talk a little bit more about the Avs. Jared Bednar saying lately, head coach of the Avalanche, we're getting more consistent, more dialed in, more committed to the way we need to play all the time. Nate McKinnon continues to be on fire. First player in the NHL to reach 60 points this year, leads the league in assists. Kel McCarr continues to do what he does on the blue line as well. And we see some different faces in the lineup for this game that we didn't see when they played early on that we'll talk to Connor about as well.
Valeri Nichushkin.
For sure, who has 17 points in the 20 games that he has played in. And then it was announced just this morning that Jonathan Drouin, who has missed the last, I believe it's 16 games, with an upper body injury. He has been unavailable for so much of the season for them. He's played only 5 games. He will be in the lineup tonight. Jared Bednar saying already that he will play in a top 6 role. He will play on the first power play unit as well. Something that Ethan McKinnon has talked about being a boost for their power play. We'll see whether or not as they look to try to get it on track.
Phyllis also pointing out, we haven't talked about Mackenzie Blackwood, the trade,
Yes.
What the Avalanche and struggles that they had was they weren't getting great goaltending.
Yeah.
Alexander Georgiev, who was great here, of course.
Yeah.
Well, in that 1-0 game, the last time these two teams met back in November is they needed to do something and they didn't wait long. So they have their goaltender in Mackenzie Blackwood. He's signed a new contract. He signed the 5-year extension right after Christmas, December 27th. So here are his numbers so far with the Avs: 1.82 goals against average and 940 save percentage. So
certainly one of the biggest issues that team had to start the season that they had to overcome was goaltending, and it appears that they have found their answer, at least in the short term, with Mackenzie Blackwood.
Someone who has an incredible save percentage at the World Juniors is Mark Masters, and he joins us live from our nation's capital. Hello, Mark. How are you today?
I'm doing all right. Good to be with you.
Thanks so much for joining us, Mark. We know how chaotic World Juniors are for you. Just quickly before I ask you about tonight's game, how many World Juniors is this for you?
This is number 13 for me.
13.
So, like, are you automatically in place? Like, they don't even have to, like, schedule a thing? It's just Masters is going to the World Juniors? Is that how it goes right now?
That's kind of been the way. I've kind of, after a few years, I got used to it, and I'm just grateful that they keep sending me. But, yeah, I just keep waiting for that email every December being like, here's the travel itinerary. We don't even kind of talk about whether it's going to happen now. So I'm pretty grateful for it.
Here it is, Mark. You're gone all of December and part of January because you're not on the road enough with the Leafs.
All right.
Yeah, it's
so
a long time away from home.
Yeah.
He'll come. He'll bounce back here. Hold on a second.
He's back.
Okay, so you're back. Obviously, United States, Canada for the New Year's Eve game. Let's go with just what this game means for both sides.
It means a lot because it means, Canada-US played in the summer and it felt like a big game. There's emotion in it. It was physical. You guys, this game could be played on the moon and it would be important to the players involved and to the fans because of the rivalry. But this year in particular, with the way the standings are, the winner of the game is first in the group, gets the easier matchup in the quarterfinals, and the loser is probably going to finish third. We'll see what happens in the Latvia-Finland game. But if that game finishes in regulation, it's very likely whoever loses the Canada-US game is going to finish third and play one of either Sweden and Czechia. Both of those teams are undefeated right now, so that would be a much more difficult matchup for whoever loses this game here tonight. And just the way the tournament has gone so far for both teams, I don't think either country is particularly thrilled with the state of their game through 3 games. Canada, of course, had that shocking upset to Latvia. The Americans are coming off a loss to Finland. So I think for both teams, not just to get the win and finish first, but to be feeling good, have some momentum and confidence going into the knockout stage is important.
Mark, one of the things that has been an issue for this Canadian team is scoring at 5-on-5. So if I tell you the name Lucas Medill, who is that and what significant role is he trying to play with this Canadian team?
He is the mental performance consultant for Hockey Canada, and the players have been leaning on him to deal with the pressure here at a home World Juniors, and in particular to deal with this offensive dry spell. I mean, all these forwards are used to putting the puck in the net with their club teams, and it's kind of bizarre because we're used to seeing Canada put up some crooked numbers early in the World Juniors over the years, but Canada only has 9 goals in 3 games, and only 7 times have they actually beaten a goalie. So they have 2 empty net goals, and 4 times they've scored at even strength. So it's been really tough. They feel like they aren't getting a lot of bounces, and they feel like they've run into some hot goalies, but still it's a mental challenge. Dave Cameron, the coach, says he's happy that they aren't getting frustrated. They're hanging in there and they're playing good defense. They're not giving up much. Not one 5-on-5 goal has been allowed by Canada so far, but it's tough for these guys. They want to see the puck go in the net. Braden Yager, the Jets prospect, was the one who was telling us about his work with Lucas Medill yesterday and how he really appreciates how Medill is relaying stories from other athletes that have gone through similar situations that helps them keep their confidence up. And in particular, Kobe Bryant, who had situations where he'd miss a lot of shots in a row, but he would just keep on firing. And he's trying to take on a similar kind of mindset going into this game tonight. Of course, Yager had a great chance to win it in overtime against Latvia and just missed.
All right, so we've talked a lot about Canada. We talked about the United States. So it's we got to focus outside of those 2 teams. What country has kind of stood out to you so far with the tournament winding down?
I mean, Latvia is the darling. It's one of the great things about this tournament is that the Latvians. There's a Cinderella story. It feels like every year. And Latvia, I mean, they could beat Finland and finish second in the group if that happens today. The first time in their history, they've had 2 wins in the preliminary round. It's been a pleasure chatting with them in the mix zone here where I am right now. They're just full of so much energy and emotion right now. Elvis Merzlikins set up a meal for them yesterday or 2 days ago for lunch. His favorite place in Ottawa FaceTimed in and gave them a message. And it's one of those stories that's kind of what makes the World Junior special, right? Is like you can have these kids that aren't as well known. They've got 2 drafted players on their roster, and a bunch of these guys, I'm sure for the rest of their lives, this might be their hockey highlight, but they've really made a difference at this tournament for their country, and they've heard a lot from back home, and they want to keep it going. Again, they beat Finland today. They could finish second and get an easier matchup. Who knows? But they've been a hardworking team. That was incredible how they beat Canada the other night. Just selling out to block shots. Their goaltender putting on a show. They earned it as much as Canada did play down. Maybe I did not find their top level. Certainly, Latvia certainly earned the upset as well.
Well, Mark, it's one of my favorite stories, and I love the Elvis Merzlikins.
Yeah, that's a great story.
The fact that he took the whole team, the support staff, paid for everybody's meal out at that restaurant. I love stories like that, and love the job that you always do. 13 years and counting, Mark, at the World Juniors. Thanks so much for making a little bit of time for us today, and hope you enjoy the game tonight.
Yeah, I mean, here's another perk of the job. New Year's Eve, Canada, U.S. in Ottawa. I'm not sure we're going to get a John Tavares hat trick kind of game like we did back in 2009, which I enjoyed very much watching as a fan. But it should be something always crazy happens in this game. So I'm really excited for tonight and to see where this tournament goes.
Us too. Thanks so much, Mark. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Happy New Year.
Happy
Same
New
to
Year,
you.
Mark. Masters joining us from Ottawa.
One of my favorites for it. He does such a great job covering the tournament. I mean, he covers the Leafs year round, as mentioned. He's on the road usually covering them, but then he has covered this tournament for so many years. And when you cover it for that many years, I think just the connection that you have, even though the players change, he knows so many of the great storylines and does a good job. So appreciate that. Should be a great one tonight.
Next guest popping in right away, and
Whoa!
Look at this!
Hello.
Look at Connor McGahey, not joining us from a restaurant, but in his brand new car and his new pair of sunglasses.
Yeah, I wish it was. Hey, you want to buy me a new truck, new Jamie? I would take it. No, so I just came back from skate. I'm in the truck, and I can't go inside because I have a 6-month-old puppy, and the second I go in there, he's going to want to run around, and we take him outside and the whole thing. So I have to sort of, do this quietly in the garage first before we go inside. So that's what you get for asking for me to come on at 11:50 Mountain Time.
Yeah, Mountain Time, of course.
This is your fault.
Yeah, I know it is. And I knew I was taking a risk, but I thought you being in a restaurant was pretty good, but if you would have had a puppy running around while you're doing this, that's like next level good.
It would have been physically impossible. I mean, it would just been, this for the entire time, which is not ideal for people who have motion sickness.
Well, you haven't been working since Friday, so the Jets are in town. I'm glad you're nice and rested.
I feel great.
The Jets who played last night and traveled in. Great schedule making. Let's talk about the difference between this Avalanche team since this last time the Jets and the Avs met on November 7th.
Well, this is the first time that the Avalanche have been the beneficiary of scheduling, because usually they're the team that's coming in on a back-to-back against a team that's had 2 days rest. This is really the first time the Avs have been in this situation this year. But I mean, they didn't have Val Nichushkin last time. It was a 1-0 win. Hellebuck was fantastic. Georgiev was great. The only time the Avs have been shut out all year was that 1-0 loss at Canada Life Center back in November, ? No Val Nichushkin. I don't know what day it is or time of day it is. I have no concept of time or space. But Val Nichushkin wasn't there. I think that, the Avs were going through a span in time where they were missing 6 of their top 9 forwards. So the fact that they've been able to hang on and actually be third in the Central right now, with now less games played than Winnipeg, because they had the most games played for almost a month there, almost more than anybody else in the Western Conference. So for that to change is a good thing for the Avs. Jonathan Drouin comes back tonight after missing the last 16 games with an upper body injury. And then I know it's a 1-0 game where Georgiev was great, but that was one of the few instances where you had stellar goaltending. Yeah. And that has completely changed for Colorado with the Lumberyard, with Wedgwood coming in first, Blackwood in now. We're missing Miles Wood, unfortunately, but we do have a Brett Woodside as a trainer, a Scott Woodward as a trainer. We have a David Wood who works in the front office. So come on down and see us here at the Colorado Lumber Yard. All your lumber needs.
You mentioned Blackwood there. Signs the 5-year extension on December 27th when he came in. I don't know what expectations were within that market and around the team for him, but maybe expand just a little bit on what exactly he has been able to do in that short time frame in terms of stabilizing the job in net.
Sarah, that is a great word for the Avalanche net now. I think first with Scott Wedgwood, who I would probably describe as the best backup goaltender in the National Hockey League for reasons that he knows his role. He knows that, he cannot play for 2 weeks and have to come in and be great. Or like that night in Buffalo where Georgiev gave up 4 goals on 8 shots, and in comes Wedgwood to stop 22 the rest of the way. The Avs down 4-0, come back to win 5-4. And he does it with a sense of humor. He keeps everybody loose. Mackenzie Blackwood is the same way. I mean, he's a dude's dude. And so you compare that sort of happy-go-lucky, easy attitude, along with the fact that he's got a north of .930 save percentage since coming over to the Avalanche, 4-1, .971 save percentage the other night versus the Utah Hockey Club. And so not only is he playing well, but he keeps guys loose in the process. And I think that has in the, to paraphrase Bill Murray, the more relaxed you are, the better you are at everything. And it was, I don't want to say a point of contention before, but it was the biggest piece missing for Colorado was in between the crease, because it was not stable. It was not consistent. You know that with Wedgwood and Blackwood, it's consistent. He knows he's playing for a contender now with their attitude. And I think that helps him because he obviously did not have that in San Jose, a little bit in New Jersey, but this is good for him. They gave him a little bit of time to check out the facilities, the city, and both sides agreed that this is what we want. This is what we want our immediate future to be. And so it was actually good that the deal got done as quick as it did.
Great goaltending always helps the coach's job, but can you speak to the job that Jared Bednar does year over year? Because it seems like there's injury issues, somebody's missing, this goes wrong. Jared Bednar keeps the ship floating in the right direction every time. How great of a job has he done this year?
I mean, incredible always. And not even as a homer, I would put him on my Jack Adams ballot, Jamie, every year because of that. Because the easy thing for people to say is, well, you have Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar and Mikko Rantanen on your team. Of course you're going to win. Well, that's not always the case. I mean, you need to be able to communicate with your superstars and your young players, your rookies and your grinders. And Jared Bednar has that communication ability. You talk about Sarah stable. I mean, Jared Bednar is 10-2 on the wheel. I got him literally on the wheel right now. 10-2 on the wheel at all times. Never too high after wins, never too low after losses, unless it's necessary. There was a game earlier this season where I think it was the loss at home to Chicago, where he said that's inexcusable and let his guys have it privately and publicly. Doesn't always do it publicly, but he did this time around. But his ability to communicate with all levels of players in the National Hockey League is what makes him a great coach. And he doesn't have a Jack Adams, but he'll take the notoriety of being the only coach in the history of hockey to win a Kelly Cup in the East Coast Hockey League, a Calder Cup in the AHL, and a Stanley Cup.
And job security that goes with it and not winning the Jack Adams trophy. So,
indeed.
Connor, appreciate the time. I know you're a little bit of a curmudgeon, but I got to throw this out there because I know you're going to give me a great answer. What is your New Year's resolution for 2025?
To go to bed earlier, which I'm actually getting really, really, really good at already.
Yeah.
Like, really good.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna make it. Thank goodness it's a 6 p.m. Mountain Time game tonight. I may not make it to 10 o'clock Mountain. I may not. I may just come home and that'll be it. I won't see the ball drop in New York City. And you know what? I could not be happier with that. That actually brings me a great amount of joy just talking about it right now.
See, you delivered. Appreciate the time, buddy.
Good to see you guys. Wish you were here.
We expect you to be in a different situation, location the next time we have you on the show.
Now there's pressure. Now all of a sudden I'm the Kevin Weeks of this show, right? on the Kevin Weeks of Checkman with Sara and Jamie Thomas.
I have some
August
breaking
25th
news.
plays
I have
every
some
time.
breaking news.
Breaking news. I'll be in a different location next time.
Okay, bye. See you later. Happy New
Have a
Year.
great call. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys.
Such a good sport. I love the sunglasses. They're in there.
Oh my gosh. Okay. That's a good way to go out the show, I think.
Yeah, it certainly is. Looking forward to it. Always the insight that Connor provides.
Yep.
With this Avalanche team that has found their footing, that is getting healthier again, is stabilized in net as well, and the difference it'll make. So it should be a great game tonight as we look forward to the Jets, who are continue to be first, continue to find their ways to win and get production throughout against the Avalanche, who are third in the Central Division. And then the Jets come home.
Yeah. Forever.
And then they're home forever.
Yeah.
That is what it feels like.
But it's a good thing because, you asked Connor Hellebuck last night the importance of taking advantage of the home schedule, and they've done that, and they'll need to do that. But first, they got to get this game in Denver out of the way with everything that looks like coming against them, with all these people coming back in the Avalanche roster and not having played. But I think the Jets, be a good night for Eric Comrie to get some goal run support tonight.
Absolutely. Sure. I hope so. Maybe that's
the resolution.
That's one of the wishes for this upcoming year. Just remember also Canada and the US playing. So you go back and forth maybe between the two games, intermissions, flip on over, see what's happening in the Canada US game. A huge game for that. Thanks so much to Mark Masters for joining us. Thanks to Connor as well. And then, as we mentioned, so the Jets play tonight. They come home afterwards. It is a day off tomorrow, and then they are home forever. So January 2nd, the Ducks are in town. The 4th are the Wings, the Preds, the Kings, the Avalanche again. The Canucks are in town. The Kraken just
keeps on going.
It keeps going. We're looking forward to it, though. The atmosphere is another sellout at Canada Life Center. The atmosphere has been fantastic.
Yeah,
in
you
the
guys have
building.
been great. Those of you who have been coming, it's been great.
It's been tremendous. So if you have the opportunity, don't miss out. And speaking of atmospheres, it will be a great one here inside Canada Life Center. An afternoon game. It's always the Moose playing their New Year's Eve game. It is 4 p.m. It is against the Texas Stars. If you want to come down and make it a whole day of hockey, no better way than to start with that, because the atmosphere at this one should be a great one. They are expecting it to be a very full house.
Very grateful for you guys as well. Thanks so much for watching. Have a happy New Year.
So thankful for you. Well, that's Thanksgiving.
That's Thanksgiving.
So
stop right there. 2024 was fantastic. 2025 expects to be better. So thanks so much for watching.
Yeah, and we will see you in 2025, January 2nd, when the Anaheim Ducks are in town. Thanks so much, everybody, for checking in. Have a safe and happy New Year's.